Ladies, gentlemen, people of the DC Universe out there, welcome to another little news roundup video. I've got a few things that I want to talk about today, and as usual, there's a couple more Flash movie clips that we're going to react to right at the beginning. I won't spend too long on that, but hey, they're bringing out more. Might as well do a little reaction to it, see what's going on there. But there was something that was happening on Twitter last night. I was, doing my little scroll, seeing what was up, and hashtag Fire James Gunn was trending once again. Now, this has something to do with the Flash post-credit scene being leaked. Do not worry, I am not going to detail what happens in the post-credit scene, but rather give my opinion and what I actually heard about this months and months and months and months and months and months ago, and how it, this doesn't really have much or anything to do with James Gunn, despite what a lot of the people out there who are really rolled up are saying. We also have some critic scores for the Flash movie, and we're gonna have to check out everybody's favorite Rotten Tomatoes, which is always entertaining to do. And we also have a Hollywood Reporter article talking about a few things: the Flash opening, and also Batman Brave and the Bold. So if you do go on to enjoy this video, guys, I'd really appreciate a like. If you're into news, updates, breakdowns, DC news, you are in the right place, so do consider subscribing. But let's get into these clips, and then we'll get into the other bits of news.
So the suit is inside the ring. Yeah. What? And I can have this? No, you can't have it. You can borrow it, so you don't kill yourself using your powers. You're going to push this button, and the silk molecules are going to uncoil, absorbing atmospheric gases and expanding the suit to full size. Ready?
It's awesome.
It was so tiny for what? You're supposed to put it on before it hits the floor. What, like change right here in front of you? There's no one even here anyway, Barry. Come on. Ooh, man, tight.
So we've seen this in previous trailers. Now, what I would say about this scene is, hey, it seemed pretty funny. I love the Lord of the Rings reference there with the black speech of Mordor, with Barry's, putting on the ring, the other Barry being like, Bosh, Nosh, or whatever Sauron says. I appreciate that joke. And overall, I enjoyed the scene. But I'm going to bring something up which, it's a weird thing. When I've brought it up before, people are like, oh, what does movie criticism become today? Why can't you just watch the movie and enjoy it, kind of thing? Why talk about VFX? Then other people on the internet are blasting this movie for the VFX, even though I do want to put it out there that VFX isn't the only bloody thing that goes into a movie. However, it comes under the umbrella of what you'd put into a review, especially if your movie relies quite heavily on VFX, which I think it's fair to say that a comic book movie, especially one of the Flash, does. And I'm just going to repeat what I've said before, but this is in a bit more higher quality here. The whole Ezra thing, I do think it won't matter to a lot of people. And what I mean by the whole Ezra thing, sorry, I mean the younger Barry. There's certain shots when he's face on. That's literally Ezra there. But when there's shots of them both in the frame, you can see the somewhat CGI head there. And then obviously when it goes into slow-mo, it's once again a CGI model. Now, the only thing for me is I really notice it. I want to stress again, it's not make or break the movie, but it's such a... and I don't know if it will be the same thing again to the somewhat untrained eye, and this is what I mean. This movie is being very positively reviewed, and we're going to get into that. So clearly, this won't be a make it or break it, but I just think this clip really highlights the kind of uncanny valley feeling that I get. That just simply means, something with the younger Barry's face, all while it's more or less seemingly identical to that of Ezra Miller's face, it's not also achieving 100% realism, thus the term of uncanny valley, especially when you have the side profile shots, or when the Flash suit gets sprung out and you see the little spring there and he's like looking up. I don't know what it is. I just don't know what it is, because that's Ezra Miller's face. That's the younger Barry. I don't know if it's like around this area, the lips. There's just something about it. Obviously, I'm gonna have to wait to see the movie for myself to like judge the whole thing with regards to this. But I notice, and why I wanted to bring it up is because a lot of people are talking about it when I'm on social media, and obviously my feed and algorithm is quite catered towards, you know, comic book stuff and the Flash movie. This is one thing that keeps coming up again and again and again. And all while I like to be fair, I can't say that I completely disagree. I do notice it. So I guess I want to put the question to you guys now. Did you notice it in that clip, or what you're seeing on screen right now? Are you one of the people who like really dislikes it, or are you kind of like me where it's like you notice it, but it's not going to be the make or break of the movie, but it might, especially after seeing the movie in full, you might say that it needed a little bit more polishing, you could say. But let's now get into the next clip.
Yeah, I have to go to work 3 minutes ago, and sorry, I'm in sort of a rush for the sandwich.
You can't rush a good sandwich, dude.
Alfred, we really can't talk.
Aha, coffee or tea.
Situation at Gotham General. A robbery gone wrong.
Alfred.
It is the middle of the morning. Why is our bat friend even awake? Call Superman.
That was my first thought.
Sadly, he's otherwise engaged.
Never about her.
Sorting out a
Is
volcano.
my sandwich ready?
I learned my lesson on the boat last year. Stuff my sister.
Barry needs his energy.
Some comments about my mom's friends as well, which I think is what I say about her.
Bloody hell, that is fast. Oh wow, very loud.
Hi. Sorry if this sounds weird, but are you actively eating that candy bar? Maybe you could throw it to me.
I need you here now.
Hi, Bruce. Yes, I'm coming.
Copyright music again.
Now, is that fast enough for you?
Okay, so the reason why I laughed there, and again, this isn't criticism to anyone who's like, oh, look at you, you know, nitpicking or whatever. It's funny to me how when Barry returns back in there, you see like all the people in there, their heads goes boom, you know, like an air cannon going at them, but like, nobody's like thinking like, what the heck was that? This is some more stuff that we've seen before, but a bit more of an extended, well, movie clip of it, and we see Alfred say that, and I didn't realize this. I thought it would be in Central City, the Batman Flash team up, but it's near Gotham General. What I like about this scene is that it is very Flash. You have Barry, you know, being late to work and wanting to order a sandwich. The guy making the sandwich is taking his time. You then have Alfred calling Barry. It's like, we need your help. And so it's just like this very chaotic life of Barry, even though he's a speedster. He's also wanting the energy so he can actually pull off what he's about to do, even asking fans on the street, hey, are you actually eating that like bar of whatever? And then they throw it and it hits his helmet. But yeah, like I don't have really too much to say here. I believe this is like right at the beginning of the movie, and it should be leading to a very, very impressive action scene. At least I hope so, from what we've seen in the trailers and from what all the reviewers out there are saying. And I will be seeing it myself soon, but actually not for a little while. I believe I'm seeing it on the 13th, which is the day before it actually comes out anyway. So I should have my thoughts up on this, you know, spoiler-free. Actually, let me know. Would you like a separate spoiler-free review and then a separate spoiler breakdown? Or would you like one video where like the first 5-10 minutes are spoiler-free and then we video chapter timestamp it into a spoiler section? But this brings me on to the drama, if you will. It's not like a massive drama, but, well, it kind of is for, like, I suppose, a slice of the fandom. And we're going to get into this before we get on to some of the reviews out there and what the critics are thinking of The Flash, since the embargo is lifted now and it's got a Rotten Tomatoes score. So, as I said, hashtag Fire James Gunn is still trending. I can literally see it on my monitor right now. And this is all because the post-credit scene of the movie has leaked, right? And I do want to say be careful, because not only is there screenshots of that, there's video clips of that on Twitter. There's also video clips of other scenes in the movie being uploaded. So do be careful out there, even though Warner Brothers, from what I can tell, are being quite vigilant in taking it down and sending out copyright notices. So the whole situation here, again, I'm not going to get into detail remotely what the post-credit scene is. But to summarize how people are feeling is that because of this post-credit scene, they are saying it's really silly, or it makes a mockery of this particular character that is in the post-credit scene. So as a result, they're saying hashtag fire James Gunn, hashtag boycott Warner Brothers, hashtag this, that, and the other. The thing is, now you don't have to believe me here. I don't particularly care, but I just want to say this anyway. From time to time, I do hear things, and I heard about this post-credit scene a long time ago, and it's actually been through, different reshufflings, if you will, compared to the one that actually ends up in the movie in terms of like ADRing different lines and whatnot. Again, don't worry, we're not getting into spoilers. But the thing is, I heard about this such a long time ago that, and by the way, just to preface this, the Flash movie shot a long time ago as well. What was done, though, occasionally is when Ezra Miller apparently went in to like record, some different things and whatnot. But the point I'm trying to make is this post-credit scene that is rallying a lot of people out there to say hashtag fire James Gunn. Oh, look at all this. Was shot long before James Gunn even freaking came in October 25th, 2022. But of course, that's not going to matter to people, because they're just going to use what they're seeing and what they're unhappy with. And by the way, I do want to say, if you're unhappy with this and what is in the post-credit scene and the way, you might feel it's too silly or whatever, fair enough. Like, you can totally have that opinion. I don't care. Like, that's your opinion. You don't like it, right? But they will, regardless of whether you like it or dislike it, they'll use that to basically push what they've been pushing beforehand, to be like, screw James Gunn. They don't like the DCU Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters direction, the lineup, James Gunn in general, or even before October 25th, 2022, when that was announced. They've always wanted the Snyderverse back. Frickin' hashtag make the Batfleck movie. All of that stuff, right? So, of course, with this hash, again, as I'm looking at it, it's like, fire James Gunn, fire James Gunn. His fingerprints are all over this. And it's just like, I really hope James Gunn says, by the way, because sometimes he tweets, but he did say that he's going to respond a lot less from here on out, like a week or two ago, that he would say, this had nothing to do with me, but maybe he doesn't want to address more attention to it so more people don't get spoiled. Now, one thing you could say, because it's still in the movie now, that James Gunn approved of it, but still, the main blaming here or ridicule is being put on James Gunn for the scene even existing. And I'm telling you that this was a scene that was a part of the Flash movie post-credits, even under the old regime's future DCEU direction. What has been changed is the lines that the characters in the post-credit scene say. But the actual scene or the silliness of the scene, nothing to do with James Gunn, from at least what I heard quite a long time ago. Well, again, because he wasn't even in the position he's in now back then. So yeah, just a little bit of an update on that. Yeah, I guess nothing I say here is really going to matter or put a dent in people saying this. When Superman Legacy is coming out in 2025, people are still going to be like, hashtag release the Batfleck movie. Nothing's really going to change with regards to that. It's just always going to be, what can people use next to be like, hashtag completely screw the future direction of the DCU. And I do need to stress, this isn't me saying that the future DC Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters and Superman Legacy to Swamp Thing is going to be amazing. I don't know that. I couldn't possibly know that. So I'm not going to ride on that wave. I like to be optimistic, but I don't like to be like, oh, garbage, hashtag fire this person, fire, bring back Snyderverse, hashtag the Batfleck movie's gonna happen. It's just... it is what it is. But hey, to those people out there, keep fighting that fight. The Batfleck movie's coming. It's coming. You might have to travel to a different timeline, but you know, you might be able to see it if you can figure that one out. Okay, so let's look at Rotten Tomatoes. Now, again, Rotten Tomatoes is kind of a funny thing because, you know, people like to use it in defense of things sometimes, but when it might not go the way they think, they like to slam Rotten Tomatoes. That's usually the duality of Rotten Tomatoes. It just keeps going around in that circle. But regardless, it's always an interesting way to compare it to way things have performed in the past and whatnot. So The Flash. And I wanted to wait a little while before making an update about this because, you know, reviews were coming in. I think it first came in at 69%, but now 90 plus reviews later, The Flash is sitting at a 72% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, which is like really good, by the way, for like a DC movie. And all of this hype with The Flash, or like the hype that was being put out there. You know, everyone knows what I mean by that, whether that's Tom Cruise saying it, Stephen King to this person, that person, all the people who saw it at CinemaCon, everyone and their grandma basically who's seen the Flash movie, which it actually does feel like everyone and their grandma by now has seen it. Even maybe you watching right now, I know some of you have, has been praising it a lot. Sure, there's people out there who have critical opinions as well. Fair enough. We need to take those into account. But 72% for a DC movie is a good sign, because no matter what, after all of that and hearing all of that, if it came in at like a 48%, my God, that would have been a huge L for Warner Brothers. You know, it would have been very embarrassing, especially after all the major marketing that they've been doing. So 72% is very decent. I mean, it's, you know, Joker is at 69%. Now, granted, to be fair, that has 598 reviews from critics on Rotten Tomatoes. The Flash is 95, so this number can still fluctuate. Do you think after more reviews it will go up from 72%? Again, Joker has over 500 to make it a 69% on Rotten Tomatoes. Do you think that with another couple of hundred or so, The Flash will go up, or will it go down to like 68, 65, 64? Who knows? I think ultimately, from reading some of these reviews here, there are some issues with it. I'm hearing really good things about the first act. The second act is like, okay, maybe not as good as the first, but sometimes some people are saying that the third act gets a bit like, you know, maybe jarring and a bit over the place. Some people have a bit to say about the VFX. But overall, even with those opinions being said, people are kind of saying that it should be a crowd pleaser. There's a lot to enjoy, the way it celebrates DC history, the fan service that's in there. It still has a, you know, heartfelt story. By all means, it's not a perfect movie, but it still has some really cool moments in there. And overall and largely throughout, it's like a fun time. And that's why, you know, you're seeing it, I guess, at like a 72 right now. It's not really deserving of like a 48 or a 52. But then some of these reviews clearly pivoting to a review of rather Ezra Miller themselves, it just doesn't really come across as film criticism, if you know what I mean. Like, I know there's people out there, I've seen comments in my own comment sections, perhaps some in this video, saying I'm not seeing the movie, like I don't see how anyone could, kind of thing. Look, if you don't want to see it, fair enough, like that's your choice. But if you're going to review a movie, you need to review the movie. You can call Ezra Miller's acting bad acting or good acting based on the actual performance. Now, I've seen plenty of people, they say as well, despite Ezra Miller, blah, 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 the performance in the movie is really, really good and actually carries the film, from what a lot of people are saying. But then there's some reviews out there who clearly are giving it like a 2 out of 5 or like a 1 out of 5. And in the major majority of the review itself, rather than speaking about the movie at length or some of the shortcomings here and there that might give it a 2 out of 5, it seems to be a review that is not necessarily representative of the actual product that is made. And it also just feels like, to me, if half, or, you know, maybe just around half of the movies in Hollywood were treated with regards to who worked on the movie, whether it's director or actor, then there'd be a lot more reviews like this. But I think, you know, with this one in particular, it seems to be quite the hot topic. But anyway, let me know what you think there. But in related Flash news, we have the Hollywood Reporter put an article out there, and they go on to talk about the opening of this movie and how well it will perform. And I also want to put the question to you guys: do you think that this movie will make a lot of money at the box office, or do you think certain stigmas might not allow it to reach the potential it once could have had before all of the stigma came about in the first place? Or do you think still, despite that, the movie, with the word of mouth, with the heavy marketing, with actually all the praise that it's getting, will still reach a decent amount? Now, the Hollywood Reporter here say that the studio is facing several other headwinds that are affecting the Flash's projected opening. A soft $70 million to $75 million is predicted. Some superhero movie fatigue is real, and so is the perception that these next few DC movies, including August's Blue Beetle and December's Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, are less urgent because Warner's is relaunching a slate of entirely new movies with new actors to inhabit the superhero roles under the aegis of DC Studios heads Gunn and Peter Safran. And that's another thing as well that we've talked about here on the channel. The Flash movie is maybe one that people want to see more because this is supposedly the reset, right? Which launches us into James Gunn and Peter Safran's DCU. Like Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2 are supposedly a part of that. Like they can exist in the new DCU, but look at it more like a prelude to when things really start with Superman Legacy. But will people be as interested in seeing Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2? Now, people have pointed out to me that a lot of people will turn up to Blue Beetle, but I still am a bit concerned. And say what you will about Shazam. Maybe some people didn't like the first one, so they didn't want to turn up to the second one. But will the general audience care, or even those in the know, that we're getting kind of a new DCU with Superman Legacy and everything like that? Even though Blue Beetle is technically a part of it, will they still see it as like a DCEU era movie and be like, oh, well, things are changing, and do I really need to see Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2? But Aquaman, even though we've heard very bad things about the movie's production and all the test screenings aren't exactly sounding great, the first movie made $1 billion. So all of the general audience out there who just like to go to the movie theater on a Friday night with their family, they might remember Aquaman very fondly and be like, oh, well, I'm going to see Aquaman 2. Now, the Hollywood Reporter also go on to say that it's unclear how much is perception and how much is reality. Both executives have said some actors from the current universe could persist, and one who seems most likely is Shola Marduenia, whose character Blue Beetle has close ties in the comics to Booster Gold. Gunn and Safran are planning their own Booster Gold show, and it is possible Blue Beetle could appear in it, depending on Beetle's reception this summer. And I completely agree with that. I've seen some people and some other accounts actually report this as low-key news, like, oh, Blue Beetle could, they're saying they actually might appear in it, but this is more, in my opinion, speculation from the person who wrote this article for the Hollywood Reporter. It's kind of what we've all said before. Technically, Blue Beetle is in the DCU roadmap as a prelude story. It is post-Flash reset, but as Shola Marduenia, as we said in yesterday's News Roundup video, even though his character can be canon in that movie universe under Gunn and Safran's roadmap, it doesn't mean that they're guaranteed a sequel. I still think it depends on numbers how much we could see him in the future. So yeah, I do believe that, especially as per Blue Beetle and Booster Gold's ties in the source material and whatnot. We could see him pop up again in the Booster Gold show, and I've got a feeling that he still could, even if Blue Beetle doesn't, go sky high at the box office, or at least what they would be happy with. I think we could see him pop up in James Gunn's DCU again. And as for what they say about The Brave and the Bold, now this is stuff we've already heard, but sometimes people only like to listen to it when it's like a major trade, such as the Hollywood Reporter. They say that one bright spot for Warner's has been filmmaker Andy Muschietti, who is a favorite at the studio after the hit It films. Even if Miller's future with DC is an open question, Muschietti's doesn't appear to be. He is the top choice to direct Batman feature The Brave and the Bold, multiple sources tell the Hollywood Reporter, though there is no script and thus no formal commitment from the filmmaker until one materializes. post-writer strike. Now, the latter of what they're saying there is true. You know, nothing has necessarily been signed and dotted. And Big Screen Leaks, who's the founder of One Take News, of whom broke this story, said he is not just the top choice, he is the only choice. But he goes on to say, and yes, the Hollywood Reporter is right. No contracts have been signed due to the strike, but Andy will be directing this film. I've seen more than enough evidence myself to back it up. And even there's public interviews out there with Andy and Barbara Machete, and people have been asking about him directing The Brave and the Bold. And they say they can't speak to that as we've been over, but this is like another answer to the one we've all heard about. Barbara Machete said, let's just say, like, we're in the family, that's for sure. Like, they're saying that they're part of the next chapter with James Gunn, but they just can't low-key confirm that Brave and the Bold is the project they're directing, even though you could argue that it's kind of low-key set in stone, and we'll probably hear about it. I wonder if we'll hear about it before Comic-Con. I think that we should, because we all basically know it anyway, but who knows? They could be saving a lot of stuff, including the new Superman casting, the new Lois Lane casting, for like a massive drop of releases of news for James Gunn's Chapter 1. But guys, that's everything I've got to say in this video. The only other thing I've got to say, on top of just let me know what you thought of every topic we discussed, is please do not give away any details of the post-credit scene of The Flash that leaked. Do not post it down in the comments. You can let me know your thoughts on what's going on with people talking on Twitter about it and blaming James Gunn, but don't give away what it's actually about. You can talk about the silliness, but you know what I'm saying. And obviously, let me know your thoughts on everything else. If you want to support what I do here on the channel, guys, all you have to do is leave a like, maybe subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this. But until next time, I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you people of the DC Universe in the next video. Goodbye.